Okay, so we talked about how in the first fight, Usyk used the strategy of showing his lead hand to exploit Joshua's tendency of picking off his opponent's lead hand with his own lead hand. And so once the reaction was baited out, Usyk would leave him hanging and then step in with a counter on Joshua's outstretched arm. Because this is what Anthony Joshua likes to do. When he sees Vladimir Klitschko gesture with his lead hand, immediately Joshua goes to pick at that lead hand, essentially stopping the jab before it happens, because Joshua likes to employ a proactive long guard defense where he likes to stop punches before they happen. And one more time from the first fight, Usyk shows his lead hand, and this prompts Anthony Joshua to try to control him back, so he sticks out his own lead hand, and then Usyk once again leaves him hanging by meeting him with a jab. And this brings us to the rematch, where Joshua made the adjustment of simply not engaging with Usyk in these hand fighting exchanges. As you can see, Usyk shows the lead hand, but Joshua doesn't give him anything. Joshua opted for a more traditional high guard, since Usyk already demonstrated in the first fight that he knew the holes of Joshua's long guard, and even gives Usyk a taste of his own medicine by leaving him hanging and attacking when Usyk shows the lead hand. Joshua focused on attacks to the body, which is open when Usyk's arm is out, so essentially Usyk shows his hand high and Joshua attacks low. And again, just a few seconds later, Usyk's gonna show the lead hand, and Joshua doesn't hand fight with him, he just steps in with a left hook to the body. And this is Joshua's adjustment from the first fight. He opted to not hand fight with Usyk when Usyk shows the lead hand. Instead, he used Usyk's hand traps with the lead hand as a cue for him to punch, and punch down to the body. And then also, instead of using the long guard, he opted to use the high guard so that Usyk doesn't exploit his long guard. And this brings us to the obvious adjustment Usyk must make, which is to simply break the high guard. As many of you may know, the high guard has many holes around it, particularly around the flanks of it, and that's because the high guard mostly protects against punches coming directly at you, and so the high guard could also be manipulated by punches to create new holes. As you see here, Usyk is going to shoot a tap right hook to get Joshua to open up his guard a bit, and then he shoots the straight left hand down the middle on the new opening. Steps to the outside angle with a double jab, straight left hand up the middle, and then step around to change the angle and then loop the left hand around the high guard. And just a few more instances of Usyk manipulating and breaking Anthony Joshua's high guard. He shoots a jab up high, straight left down low, shoots a jab and then a straight, and then comes around with the hook. A lot of these instances is either punching around the high guard or manipulating it so that he could punch around the new openings on that high guard. Joshua continued seeing success finding body shots on Usyk's hand traps. But with Usyk really letting the combinations go now, Joshua found even more success punching with Usyk during those combinations. And since this is an open stance matchup, Joshua's orthodox right hand is on the open side, so his right uppercut was his money punch here. So here we're going to see Usyk try to step over with some jabs, and then Joshua punches with him. You see the uppercut, bam, right there to the body on Usyk, doubles him over. And then again in the next round, we're going to see as Usyk comes in with jabs, Joshua throws with him, bam, uppercut right to the body. And these are the two punches that probably hurt Usyk the most in the fight. And this brings us to the last adjustment from Usyk, which was to create space before pivoting out to avoid that right uppercut. You see, Usyk was pivoting to the outside angle in those previous clips, but he was still getting hit by Joshua's right uppercut since he was still in punching range. The pivot is a good defensive maneuver, but if you're still in punching range, then it's still possible for you to get hit. And you see by exiting punching range, he doesn't allow Joshua to pivot with him and punch him like he was doing, and I'll show you. So as we see in the previous clip, as Usyk comes in with jabs, he pivots out but still gets clipped by this right uppercut, even though he's pivoting to the outside angle. And then just a few rounds later, we see the adjustment as he comes in with jabs again. This time he steps out to avoid the right hand from Joshua, and once again he comes in again, and then he steps back again to avoid the right hand from Joshua. And so it goes without saying that distance is your first line of defense. You could pivot, slip, duck, roll, whatever, but if you're still in punching range, then it's still possible to get hit. By stepping back out of range, you take the possibility of getting hit away, and so there's nothing wrong with stepping back to avoid punches, especially if you step back at an angle like Usyk. And that's going to do it for this one. Usyk ends up pulling out the victory, and if you want to bet on Usyk's next fight, which may or may not be against Tyson Fury, go ahead and check out my BetUS link in the description, and thank you to my patrons as usual: Jason Maheenan, Grant Gabriel, Albert Chen, Jeff, Dmitry Drozdov, Andre, Gostele Geza, Mark Price, and Marshall Bott. You guys keep the channel going, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.